Well, welcome back once again. We are in a new season. We just finished up with our first season, which was summer. Now we're in what is called fall, or as the Ojibwe pronounced it, dagwagging. Okay? So, what I'd like you to do is, as you're reading this, make sure you stop when you come across an activity or a natural resource that they had. Preferably an activity they took part in during the fall. Okay? Make sure you write it down in your journal. Thank you. So, now in the mornings, there was a sharp freshness in the air. Omakayas loved this time of the year and jumped from her blankets eagerly, rolled her sleeping mat and fur blanket, and put them away quickly so that she could help rekindle the outdoor cooking fire. Her crow hopped after her. Remember what the name of the crow is? Yep, Andeg. Though it could fly short distances, its wing hadn't yet healed. Andeg, the Anishinaabe or Ojibwe word for crow, was its name. Nokomis was fond of Andeg, and the bird often rode on her shoulder and kept her company as she packed dried fish, repaired nets, wove new mats. And alongside Omakayas, tanned hides they needed now for winter clothing, jackets, and moccasins. Moccasins, mittens, hoods. Omakayas used the gun barrel flesher, Day-Day's gift. She didn't like the work any better than she ever had, but Andeg's lively company helped. Andeg even frightened off an owl, and once perched on the head guard of baby Niwu's cradle board, cracked loudly and repeatedly until Mama came running to find a curious raccoon trying to steal from the bundles of dried fish and venison she was preparing to cache. Andeg quickly became everybody's favorite, but the crow slept only near Omakayas. He fell asleep just at dusk, perching low on a branch she had tied into the side of the ribs of the birch bark house. Day-Day spent a few warm fall days making repairs on his canoe, and then it was time for him to leave again. He would make one more big trip before the cold rains, and then the harsh snow slashed down. Once he stopped gathering and selling the furs of other Anishinaabe, he would go out on his own trap line. For the rest of the late fall and winter, he would be home and gone. Home and gone, and each time he returned, Omakayas thought with a sinking stomach, sorry about that, he would be hauling back skins for her to work on. One afternoon, his friends and partners came to visit and make their plans. Albert Lepotre and Fishtail came walking through the woods. When Angeline and Omakaya saw the men coming, they decided to hide and quickly dived into a heavy stand of bush. Peeking between weedy stalks, they had a good view. Albert was round as a kettle, and his big teeth stuck out pleasantly when he grinned. He fancied himself quite a medicine man, and wore at his throat a circle of bear claws. Next to him walked the tall and handsome Fishtail. He had strikingly long, thick, oiled black hair, and a hawk-thin face with a proud curl to his lips. He carried his pipe in the cradle of his left arm, closer to his heart. It was a fancy pipe, made of a piece of sumac wood marked with sweet grain. Bands along the stem were carefully beaded in black and yellow. Fishtail took extremely good care of his pipe, cleaned it often, prayed with it every sunrise. To him, it was a living thing. The bowl was red pipestone in the shape of an otter's head, his clan. Dark blue pony beads hung down a swatch of fringe, and Fishtail touched them carefully and lovingly as he stepped quietly along. So, this fancy pipe that Fishtail has, it was made of red pipestone, and we have pipestone here in Minnesota that Native Americans famously made pipes out of. When they talk about a clan, it's kind of like an extended family. Okay? So Miquam came out along the path to meet his friends, and the men talked and joked before they made themselves comfortable, sitting on blankets on the ground. Omikias saw her father open up his leather pouch of sweet kinnikinnick. Remember, the kinnikinnick is kind of like a, well, it isn't. It is a tobacco, excuse me. Kinnikinnick is a tobacco. So he opened up his pouch of sweet kinnikinnick and a semia, or tobacco. Fishtail lit the pipe, and the fragrance of the burning red willow tobacco hung peacefully in the air. Each man, as he drew in the smoke, wore a look of concentrated and peaceful attention. The pipe passed around the circle twice before any of the men said a word. What they said made Omikias and Angeline creep closer, listen more carefully. Hidden in the grass and underbrush, they breathed quietly and opened their ears to catch the lower tones of the men's voices. "Shamukaman," said Fishtail, in a growling tone of indignation. The word meant big knife, and it was used to describe the non-Indian or white people who were traveling in larger numbers than ever to the Ojibwe land and setting down their cabins, forts, barns, gardens, pastures, fences, fur trading posts, churches, and mission schools. La Pointe was becoming more Shamukaman every day, and there was talk of sending the Anishinaabe to the west. "They say we must leave the island," Fishtail went on. No one commented. Curled against the itching nettle leaves, Omikias eased her hand to her leg to scratch. She scratched silently and kept listening. "That's right," her father said at last, contempt in his voice. "That's what they're saying, the useless ones." Albert Lepatre drew on the pipe and frowned, tamping and adjusting the tobacco burning in the bowl. He drew deep and puffed hard. He was part French, like Day-Day, but browner than Fishtail. His eyes were greenish-brown. His round, cheerful face beamed. He sighed, and with a faraway look said that he had a vision. Fishtail and Day-Day looked blankly and patiently at him when he said this. For Lepatre was known for recounting visions and dreams that had very little meaning, though they seemed to affect him hugely. Now he looked down sternly, gathering his thoughts. Suddenly, he blurted out, "I dreamed I had lice!" In the brush, Angelina and Omikias clapped hands over their mouths to stifle their glee. Day-Day and Fishtail managed to keep straight faces, but Omikias was sure she saw the corner of Day-Day's mouth twitch. Albert Lepatre sighed. "The meaning is unclear," he muttered. "Let's find the meaning," said Day-Day. His voice was serious. But the girls both knew that he was having fun with Lepatre. "Was anything else happening in your dream?" Lepatre frowned, as though overcome with the weight of his vision. Yes, he said. We were planning a dance gathering. Ah, said Father. The meaning now becomes clear. This was a deep dream indeed. What? Lepatre was breathless. Well, from now on, when you dance, Father said, without allowing the trace of a smile, you will dance hard enough to shed your lice. Yes, Lepatre's voice was suspicious, but neither Day nor Fishtail let on by any sign that Father's interpretation was a joke. Ah, perhaps, said Lepatre, I should tell you my own thoughts. And then, to Angeline and Omikaya's surprise and dismay, he told the other men that he was thinking of having his family, all 10 of his children, his uncles and grandmas and grandpas, he was thinking of taking all these people to a western post where he had heard government payments were made. Omikaya nudged Angeline. Those children were their friends. To think they might have to leave. Omikaya nearly cried out, but Angeline poked her to be quiet. All the Ojibwe would be safe on their own land farther west. Albert was saying no one would bother them. Yes, there were hazards on the way. Dakota war parties, hunger, the threat of winter's dire weather. He'd rather not go. Still, said jolly Albert, he had moved before when the waves of white people lapped his feet. West, always west, said Day agreeing slowly. We hear the Shamukaman axe ring in the woods, chopping a tree. We should be gone before the tree falls. Well, we have to stop somewhere someday. Fishtail drew thoughtfully on his pipe, and the fragrant smoke clouded his face. West is where the spirits of the dead walk. If the whites keep chasing us west, we'll end up in the land of the spirits. Well, I've dreamed that's where they want us to go anyway, said Albert. That will please them. They are like greedy children. Nothing will ever please them for long, said Day. Although his grandfather had been French, he was raised and considered himself Ojibwe and kept the rules of his mother's dotem, or clan, the Catfish clan, the Awassi, the Awasasi, sorry about that. Only in some Shamukamang things, his cabin, for instance, and his ability to play and win the white man's game of chess with the traitor, did he take secret pride. Not until they have it all, said Fishtail. All of our lands, our wild rice beds, hunting grounds, fishing streams, gardens. Not even when we are gone and they have the bones of our loved ones, will they be pleased. I have thought about this. Fishtail put up his hand and held it there. Looked keenly at his friends. Before they were born, before they came into this world, the Shamukaman must have starved as ghosts. They are infinitely hungry. The men smoked with increased intensity, looking deep into the fire as the breeze came up and the dusk lowered. Day was thoughtful, his eyes deep and clouded. Excuse me. Even Lepatre looked serious. The dimples set hard in his cheeks. Watching in the bushes, Omikaya and Angeline waited for them to resume their talking, but that day, mulling over Fishtail's difficult words, perhaps the men kept their silence. So, these three guys, close friends, are very worried. They're worried about their lands, their native lands that they have lived on for hundreds of years. So they're worried that they're going to be pushed out of their homes. And they're going to be pushed out of their homes, they fear, by these people called the Shamukaman, or the white men, the Europeans. These white men are trespassing on Native American lands, and it's causing great concern to the Native Americans, and rightly so. So, thank you for your attention. We'll see you in the next chapter.